Unit 11, Life's Little Lessons, page 72. Welcome to English for Arabs channel. English for Arabs is English for all. These are the words of unit number 11. Exercise number 1. Confirmation. Confirmation. A religious ceremony to formally accept a person as a member of a Christian church. Confirmation. British, American, can, O as a sound. Confirmation. A religious ceremony to formally accept a person as a member of a Christian church. Bar mitzvah. A ceremony in the Jewish religion to celebrate a boy's reaching the age of 13. Bat mitzvah. A ceremony in the Jewish religion to celebrate a girl reaching the age of 13. The age. The, and here we start with the vowel, say the age. Sweet 16. A girl's 16th birthday. Sweet 16. A girl's 16th birthday. 2. Responsible. Irresponsible, not acting in a responsible way. Not acting in a responsible way. Nada, T as soft D between two vowels, O and A. Irresponsible, not acting in a responsible way. Immature. Immature, British, American, immature. Behaving as though one is younger or less experienced than one is. Turning point. A time when important change starts to happen. Turning point. Turning point. A time when important change starts to happen. 3. Moped. A small motorcycle. A small motorcycle. T as Saudi, motor. Motorcycle. 4. Outgoing. Sociable. American, sociable. O as a sound. Friendly. Outgoing, sociable, friendly. Envious. Envious, wishing you had what another person has. Envious, wishing you had what another person has. Capable of. Capable of. Able to. Capable of, verb plus ing. Able to, main verb. We were never apart. We were never apart. That means we were always together. We were always together. We were never apart. We were always L silent. We were never apart. We were always together. We had to cope. We had to cope on your own. We had to cope on your own. We had to cope on your own. We had to depend on ourselves. We had to depend on ourselves. We had to cope on your own. We had to depend on ourselves. Principal, headmaster. 5. Milestone. Milestone, important event. An important event. Important, T as soft D also in American. So I can say important, British. I make the R silent, important. Important event. Or American, important event. Important event. 6. Ambitious. A strong desire to be successful. Argumentative. Argumentative. Argumentative, British, American, argumentative. Liking to argue or disagree with people. Conscientious. Conscientious. This one, sound. conscientious, hardworking, conscientious, hardworking, conscientious, hardworking. Naive, lacking experience or knowledge. Pragmatic, T as soft D in American. British, pragmatic, pragmatic, British, pragmatic, American, pragmatic. Practical, making decisions based on facts rather than ideas. Pragmatic, practical, making decisions based on facts rather than ideas. Rebellious, reacting against rules or traditions. Rebellious, reacting against rules or traditions. Sensible, showing good judgment. Sophisticated, well experienced, carefree, without any problems or worries. Sophisticated, well experienced, carefree, without any problems or worries. Unit 11. Life's Little Lessons. Exercise number 1. Snapshot. Rites of passage. What does it mean, a rite of passage? Rite of passage, an official ceremony or informal activity which marks an important stage. An official ceremony or informal activity which marks an important stage. Rites of passage, important life events. So here in this exercise, we're going to have different important life events. Number 1, first birthday or first 100 days as in South Korea. So this is the first birthday. This is in South Korea. First haircut. Losing your first tooth. So this is the first tooth. From teeth, plural teeth, singular, one tooth. First day of school. This is of course an important event in our life. Sweet 16 or sweet 15 as in Latin America. When the boy or the girl becomes 15 or 16 years, especially the girl, this is an important event. First job. High school graduation. When you finish your high school. High school, secondary school. The 20th birthday or 21st birthday as in the United States and Canada. So this is an important event. College graduation. College graduation. College graduation. Marriage. Becoming a parent. Becoming a parent. Retirement. Retirement. This is when the person is 60 years old and he or she stops from work. When you stop doing work. Retirement, to stop work and you are on pension. On pension, you're 60 years old. This is the age of retirement. Which rites of passage or life events are important in your life? Check through the events. So here, there are different events. And check through the most important events for you. First day of school. It's very important for me. First job. High school graduation. College graduation. Marriage. Becoming a parent. A parent, a father or mother. What are other rites of passages for people in your country? Now this is going to be different from one student to another. In Egypt, we have different rites of passages such as Subua. So in South Korea, the first birthday, but this is after 100 days. In Egypt we have Subwa. This is the 7th day after birth. So we make a celebration to celebrate the baby. So this is of course Subwa in Egypt. Have any of these things recently happened to you or someone you know? So this is a conversation between you and your friend. You can ask your friends, is an important event happened to him or her? You can ask him or her about it. Exercise number 2. Conversation. I was really immature. Listen, practice. Here, look at the picture here. What do you see? A young man and an old man. This is a computer, and there is another computer there, so maybe they are at work. Here, a young lady, she's driving, and she's talking to the man, and the man is imagining something about his life. I was really immature. Listen and practice. Listen and repeat.
Unit 11. Life's Little Lessons. Page 72, Exercise 2, Conversation. I was really immature. Part A. Listen and practice.
So what were you like when you were younger?
When I was a kid, I was kind of irresponsible.
You? Really? What made you change?
Graduating from high school.
What do you mean?
Well, until I graduated, I'd never had any important responsibilities. But then I went off to college.
I know what you mean. I was really immature when I was a teenager.
So what made you change?
I think I became more mature after I got my first job and moved away from home. Once I had a job, I became totally independent.
Where did you work?
I worked for my dad at the bank.
I was really immature. What do you mean immature? Immature, irresponsible. So, what were you like when you were younger? When I was a kid, I was kind of irresponsible. Responsible? I don't care about a lot of things. You? Really? What made you change? To finish high school. What do you mean? Well, until I graduated, I'd never had any important responsibilities. But then I went off to college. So after Carol finished her high school, she went to college, to university. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Here, T, I can make the T soft D. I know what you mean. Take care that Y sometimes is a vowel. So I know what you mean. I was really immature when I was a teenager. A teenager is a person from 13 to 19 years old. So what made you change? I think I became more mature after I got my first job and moved away from my home. Once I had a job, I became totally independent. Totally. T sub D. Totally. Independent. So once Alan got his first job, he became totally independent. Independent, he can depend on himself. Where did he work? Where did Alan work? I worked for my dad at the bank. I worked. D here, I pronounce it as tah sound because this is the past of the verb work, and the verb work ends with the sound of ka, the sound of k. Ka sound, so we make the D, T. I worked. I worked for my dad at the bank. Now, let's answer some questions about this conversation. First question. What was Carol like when she was younger? She was irresponsible. What made her change? What made Carol change? Graduating from high school. Why did Carol change? After graduating from high school, she had never had any important responsibilities, so she went off to college. And in college, she had a lot of responsibilities, a lot of assignments. What about Alan? Was Alan mature or immature when he was younger? Alan was immature when he was a teenager. What made him change? When Alan became more mature after he got his first job. So he moved away from home and he became totally independent. He has to depend on himself. Where did Alan work? He worked for his dad at the bank. Part B. Listen to the rest of the conversation. What was another turning point for Carol and for Alan? Another important event in the life of Carol and Alan.
Page 72, Exercise 2, Part B. Listen to the rest of the conversation. What was another turning point for Carol? For Alan?
Another turning point for me was when I got my dog, Pepper. I know that sounds silly, but it was really important to me.
Why was that so important?
Well, I was about 18, my first semester at college. Having a dog of my own made me feel really responsible. He was always waiting for me when I came home from class.
I never got to have a dog, but I remember when I got my first bicycle. That was a very important day for me. For the first time, I could go out on my own and go as far as I wanted to. I took really good care of it. Of course, that only lasted a few months, and then I lost interest in it.
What was the turning point for Carol? For Carol, when she got a dog, that was a turning point for her. Because she had to take care of this dog. What was the turning point for Mr. Allen? When he got his first bicycle. So the turning point for Carol, when she got a dog. For Alan, when he got his first bicycle.
Page 73, Exercise 3, Grammar Focus. Time clauses.
Before I had my first job, I was really immature.
After I got my first job, I became more mature.
Once I had a job, I became totally independent.
The moment I moved away from home, I felt like a different person.
As soon as I got my own bank account, I started to be more responsible.
Until I graduated, I'd never had any important responsibilities.
By the time I graduated from high school, I had already started working.
All right. So let's take a look at our time clauses. Now, when we use a time clause, we always use a time phrase to indicate time. So for example, when we're talking about a sequence of events, we can use things like before and after. So remember, before indicates something that happened prior or before the action, and after indicates something that happened later than the action, right? So if I think, what happened before I got a job? Well, before I got a job, I didn't have any money, obviously, right? Or after I got a job, I started saving money, okay? So remember, before and after are for sequences. One thing happened before another, or one thing happened after another. Now, when I want to talk about two things that happen almost at the same time, right? I can use things like once, the moment, and as soon as, right? So we use these for two things that happen almost at the same time, or the second action happens almost immediately after the first one. So if I say, once I got a job, I celebrated with my friends. So almost immediately after I got a job, I celebrated with my friends. The moment I got a job, I bought formal clothes, right? Or as soon as I got a job, I had less free time. So again, we use these once, the moment, and as soon as to indicate two actions that happen almost at the same time. Or sometimes this action cannot happen until this action happens. Alright. Now the last one we're going to look at is sequence. Sequence with the past perfect. Now if you remember what the past perfect is, the past perfect is using had for the auxiliary and the past participle for the main verb. So when do I use this? I use it with things like until and by the time. Okay? So if I think until I got a job, I had never worn a tie. Okay? So I can use this in the idea that I'm thinking, well, never in my life, I had never worn a tie until I got a job, and then I started to wear a tie. Okay? Again, I can use by the time, and that's like another way to say before almost. So by the time I got a job, I had applied at many places. Okay? Now, I know these two are difficult to understand, so I'm going to focus more on these with different examples. Okay, so here we use until. So remember, with until signifies that there is a change in something. So it basically means that you do something until a certain time and then you don't do it anymore. Or maybe you don't do something, right, until a certain time and then you start to do it. So until always means that there's a change, that you basically do the opposite of what was before it. So let's look at this context. I had never worked a full day in my life until I got a job. So that means that, well, now I work full days. But until I got a job, I had never worked a full day in my life. Now, when I use until in the past tense, I'm often using that grammar, the past perfect. Had, in negative, had never, and here's my past participle worked. But I don't always need to use things in the past tense when I use a time phrase or when I use a time clause. So for example, I could say, well, I will study English until I get a job. And that means that when I get a job, then I will stop studying English, right? So here it is. I will study English until I get a job, and then I'm not going to study English anymore, okay? So notice I can use these in different types of grammar, future and past. Okay, so I hope that helps explain until. Remember, until it means that there's a change. It means that you do something that you did not do before, or maybe you don't do something that you did before. Okay? Alright, now let's look at by the time for my time phrase. So if I read this, it says, I had applied for a job at many places by the time I got a job. So by the time, again, is basically like saying before. So before I got a job. But it really indicates that between this action, I had applied for a job at many places, and this action, I got a job, that there was a distinct amount of time. For example, sometime later passed, and then I got a job. So I'm usually using, in the past tense, the past perfect when I use by the time to indicate that this action happened and it finished, and then sometime later I got a job. Okay? Now, another example of this is in the future. I could say, I will finish studying by the time I get a job. So this is the future. So I don't have a job. but I will finish studying at the university, and then sometime later I will get a job. And so again, we can use by the time to indicate that I will finish studying by the time I get a job. Alright guys, so I hope this was helpful in understanding how we use until and by the time. And let's look back at this certain example that we had. And I just wanted to show you that, again, with the time clause, we use our time phrases, and then we use the main clause, right? But we don't always have to use this order. I can talk about my time clause first. I can talk about the main clause first and the time clause second, right? So again, I can say, I didn't have money before I got a job, or I started saving money after I got a job. And the same goes with any of these, basically. You can say, I celebrated with my friends once I got a job. Or you could say, I bought formal clothes once I got a job. So remember guys, I can use my time clause with my time phrases, and then I can use my main clause. But I don't have to do it this way. I can start my sentence with the main clause and finish with the time clause. And this is what it looks like. Right. So I can say, I didn't have money before I got a job. Or I started saving money after I got a job. Or I celebrated with my friends once I got a job. Or I bought formal clothes the moment I got a job. Or I had less free time as soon as I got a job. Or I had never worn a tie until I got a job, and now I wear a tie. Or I had applied at many places by the time I got a job. So I hope this was helpful in learning how we use time phrases and time clauses to talk about sequences of things that happen at the same time, and also sequences using the past perfect. Alright guys, thanks for watching and good luck.
A. Match the clauses in column A with appropriate information in column B. Then compare with the partner. 1. 1 minute, try to answer. By the time I was 15, E. I had learned how to take care of myself. So number 1, E. Number 2. Until I started working part-time, I have never saved any money. So number 2, G. 3. The moment I got my first paycheck, I began to understand the value of money. 3B. 4. As soon as I left home, I realized that I wasn't a child anymore. So number 4, D. 5. Once I started sharing an a flat. Once I started sharing an apartment, I learned how to get along better with people. So number 5, F. 6. After I began a relationship, I learned that love can hurt. So number C. 6C. 7. Before I traveled abroad, I didn't appreciate my own country. So number 7A. Until I got really sick. H. I hadn't understood the importance of good health. Again, the answers: number 1, E. 2, G. 3, B. 4, D. 5, F. 6, C. 7, A. 8, H. B. Which of the clauses in column A can you relate to your life? Add your own information to those clues, then compare with the partner. So here in this exercise, you're gonna talk about your life yourself. Example, the moment I got my first paycheck. Number 3, the moment I got my first paycheck. So in number 3, which is the answer B, I began to understand the value of money. But here you say, the moment I got my first paycheck, I became more independent. So you try here to talk about your life. As soon as I left home, I became more independent. After I began a relationship, I was thinking really about marriage. I was thinking about having a family. Before I traveled abroad, I thought traveling abroad was very easy. But I was wrong. Number C, group work. What do you think people learn from these events? Write sentences using time clauses in the present. Then take turns reading and talking about them. Here we have different events, and this is going to be a group work between you and your friends. 1, getting a credit card. So here, look at the picture. A young lady, and she has a credit card. She's very happy. Yeah. Maybe she's doing shopping. Number 1, getting credit card. 1. Once you get a credit card, you learn it's important not to overspend. It's important to save money. It's important to take care of your money. It's important not to spend too much. So in this exercise here, you start to talk about these events, about your life in the present. Going out on your first date to have a romantic relationship, getting your first job. When I get my first job, I am very happy, because this is a fact. Getting your first driver's license. Once I get my driver's license, I work as a driver. 5. Buying your first bike, moped, or car. Moped, a motorcycle. 6. Opening your own bank account. 7. Getting married. 8. Becoming a parent. A father or mother.
Page 74, Exercise 4, Listening. Important events. Part A. Listen to 3 people describe important events in their lives. Complete the chart. 1. Sally.
One thing that was really a turning point for me was when I learned Spanish. I was always kind of scared of learning a foreign language, yet I was really envious of kids who could speak another language. But when I started learning Spanish, I found I was actually pretty good at it. And the moment I reached that breakthrough stage, when you discover you can actually speak and communicate with people in the language, I felt really proud of myself. I realized that learning a foreign language wasn't an impossible thing after all. Now I can speak 3, Spanish, Italian, and German. And I'm taking Korean this year.
Number 1, Sally. Sally, what is the event she learned Spanish? She learned Spanish. How it affected her? She felt proud of herself. She felt proud of herself. She can communicate in Spanish language. She speaks now about 4 languages, 3 languages, German, Italian, Spanish, and she takes Korean classes. So again, the answer for number 1, Sally. The event, she learned Spanish. How it affected her? She felt proud of herself. Number 2, Henry.
2. Henry.
I'm a twin, and my twin brother and I have always been very close. We always did everything together, and we were never apart for any time at all until we were 18. Then we went to different colleges in different towns, and that was the first time we had ever really had to cope on our own. I think it was good in a way, because we both became more confident and independent. Until then, I had always had my brother to depend on whenever I ran into a problem. But once I went away to college, I realized I was actually capable of working things out on my own.
Number 2, Henry. Event, he and his twin brother went to different colleges, so they got apart. They got separated. They were close to each other, and they have strong relationship. How it affected him? Once he became alone, he became more confident and independent, so he can depend on himself. So again, the answer number 2, he and his twin brother went to different colleges. How it affected him? He became more confident and independent. 3. Debbie.
3. Debbie.
I guess I was always pretty shy in school, and I didn't share a lot of things with people, not even with my parents. Then one time it was awards day at school. I didn't think I was getting any prizes or anything, and neither did my parents. So we were all pretty surprised when the principal announced that I was the top student in my class. Afterward, I didn't think too much about it, but then people suddenly started treating me differently. You know, I think some of the kids in school started looking up to me, and I became a lot more outgoing after that.
3. Debbie. Debbie was pretty shy, very shy. Pretty means here very. She was very shy in the beginning. So, what is the event? She was the top student in her class. How it affected her? She became a lot more outgoing. She became a lot more sociable. She became a lot more friendly. So the event for Debbie, she was the top student in the class or her class. She became more outgoing. Listen again. What do these 3 people have in common? They discovered that they were good at doing things. They discovered that they were good at doing things. Exercise number 5. Speaking. Milestones. A. Pair work. In your country, how old are people when these things happen? So here we're going to have different answers from one student to another. When you get a driver's license, in the US say 18. Begin to date. To date, to have a romantic relationship. To have a romantic meeting. This is of course in some countries, such as the Middle East or the Arab countries, we don't have to date. Move out of their parents' home. It depends. Depends to the age and the country. In some countries, you move when you are 18 years old or 20. Sometimes you move when you are 30 years old, 30 or 35. Sometimes in Egypt you stay with your mom and dad after you got married. You live in the same house. Graduate from college to finish college. If you are in the Faculty of Medicine, you finish when you are 24 years old. If you are in the Faculty of Engineering, maybe 23, 22. If you are in another faculty, you're going to study for 4 years, you could finish when you are 21 years old or 22. Get married most of the time when you are 30. Retire. In Egypt here, we retire when we are 60 years old. 60. In France, people retire when they are 62. Group work. Choose 3 milestones. What do you think life is like before and after each one? Join another pair and discuss. So this is a group work, a discussion between you and your friends. We try to talk about important events in your life. Before people get a driver's license, they are very dependent on their parents. Once they get a license, they can do shopping alone. They can go shopping, they can get out alone. Exercise number 6. Word power. Behavior and personality. A. Pair work. At what age do you think people possess these traits? At what age do you think people possess these traits? These traits, what meaning of the word traits? Traits means characteristics. These are the characteristics of personality or personality traits. Characteristics. The qualities of characters of your character, or what we call it, the adjectives of your character. Check through 1 or more ages for each trait. So here we have the qualities, the characteristics, the personality traits, and we have the age. In their teens, teenager, this is when you are from 11 or 12, from 11 or 12 to 19 years old. In their 20s, 20, 21 until 29. In their 30s, from 30 to 39. In their 40s, from 40 to 49. In their 60s. 60s here, British and American will say 60. After 60 years old. So say 50, 60, TY. But in American will say 20, 30, 40, 20s, 30s, 40s. But we say in American 50, 60. We make the TT. We pronounce the TT, not soft D. We do not pronounce it soft D. A. Pair work. Ambitious. Ambitious, you have strong desire to succeed, to achieve. In their 20s, in their 30s, in their teens, in their 40s. Argumentative. Argumentative. You would like to have an argument, discussion. We discuss all the time. In their teens, in their 20s. Carefree. Carefree. This, of course, in their 60s. Conscientious. Conscientious. In their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s. Naive. Naive. You believe in anything. In their teens, teenagers are naive. Pragmatic, practical. In their 30s, in their 40s, rebellious. You object. You don't obey. Of course, teenagers are rebellious. Sensible. Sophisticated. Sophisticated, You have wide experience. This, of course, in their 60s. B. Group work. Use the word in part A to describe people you know. My older brother is argumentative. He disagrees with me about everything. So here you describe the people around you, the people you know. You can talk about your brother, your father, your mother, your neighbor, your best friend. My best friend is pragmatic, sophisticated, and ambitious. That's the end of unit number 11, part 1. Now let's get the homework. 1. Keep the words by heart. 2. Listen and repeat. 3. Answer the first 3 pages of unit 11, interchange 3 workbook. 4. Go to cambridge.org/interchangearcade/ for more exercises for the grammar and the vocab. Also, you can watch a wonderful video about the grammar in Mr. Kyle Relfson's channel, Interchange 3, Unit 11. Finally, hope you like it, share it, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Wish you all good luck. A soft D between 2 vowels, O and A. Irresponsible. Not acting in a responsible way. Immature. Immature. British, American, immature. Behaving as though one is younger or less experienced than one is. Turning point. A time when important change starts to happen. Turning point. Turning point. A time when important change starts to happen. 3. Moped. A small motorcycle. A small motorcycle. TSRD. Motor. Motorcycle. 4. Outgoing. Sociable. American. Sociable. O as a sound. Friendly. Outgoing. Sociable. Friendly. Envious. Envious. Wishing you had what another person has. Envious. Wishing you had what another person has. Capable of. Capable of. Able to. Capable of. Verb plus ing. Able to. Main verb. We were never apart. We were never apart. That means we were always together. We were always together. We were never apart. We were always lacking experience or knowledge. Pragmatic. T as sub D in American. British, pragmatic. Pragmatic. British, pragmatic. American, pragmatic. Practical. Making decisions based on facts rather than ideas. Pragmatic. Practical. Making decisions based on facts rather than ideas. Rebellious. Reacting against rules or traditions. Rebellious. Reacting against rules or traditions. Sensible. Showing good judgment. Sophisticated. Well experienced, carefree, without any problems or worries. Sophisticated, well experienced, carefree, without any problems or worries. Unit 11. Life's Little Lessons. Exercise number 1. Snapshot. Rites of passage. Words mean a rite of passage. Rite of passage, an official ceremony or informal activity which marks an important stage. An official ceremony or informal activity which marks an important stage. Rites of passage, important life events. So here in this exercise, we're going to have different important life. Unit 11, Life's Little Lessons, page 72. Welcome to English for Arabs channel. English for Arabs is English for all. These are the words of unit number 11. Exercise number 1. Confirmation. Confirmation. A religious ceremony to formally accept a person as a member of a Christian church. Confirmation. British, American, can, O as a sound. Confirmation. A religious ceremony to formally accept a person as a member of a Christian church. Bar mitzvah. A ceremony in the Jewish religion to celebrate a boy reaching the age of 13. Bat mitzvah. A ceremony in the Jewish religion to celebrate a girl reaching the age of 13. The age. The, and here we start with the vowel, say the age. Sweet 16. A girl is 16th birthday. Sweet 16. A girl is 16th birthday. 2. Responsible. Irresponsible, not acting in a responsible way. Not acting in a responsible way. Nada, T-L silent. We were never apart, we were always together. We had to cope. We had to cope on your own. We had to cope on your own. We had to cope on your own. We had to depend on ourselves. We had to depend on ourselves. We had to cope on your own. We had to depend on ourselves. Principal, headmaster. 5. Milestone. Milestone, important event, an important event. Important, T as soft T also in American. So I can say important, British. I make the R silent, important. Important event. Or American, important event, important event. 6. Ambitious. A strong desire to be successful. Argumentative. Argumentative. Argumentative, British, American, argumentative. Liking to argue or disagree with people. Conscientious. Conscientious. This one conscientious. 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 Hard-working. Conscientious. Hard-working. Conscientious. Hard-working. Naive events. Number 1. First birthday or first 100 days as in South Korea. So this is the first birthday. This is in South Korea. First haircut. Losing your first tooth. So this is the first tooth. From teeth, plural teeth, singular, one tooth. First day of school. This is of course an important event in our life. Sweet 16 or sweet 15 as in Latin America. When the boy or the girl becomes 15 or 16 years, especially the girl, this is an important event. First job. High school graduation. When you finish your high school. high school, secondary school. The 20th birthday or 21st birthday, as in the United States and Canada. So this is an important event. College graduation, college graduation, college graduation, marriage, becoming a parent, becoming a parent, retirement, retirement. This is when the person is 60 years old and he or she stops from work. When you stop doing work, retirement, to stop work and you are on pension. On pension.